Good morning everybody. I am Jagannath. I am going to deal anthropology for you. I have done my post-graduation in anthropology from University of Hyderabad. So I am going to deal optional anthropology for you for UPSC examination. So in this context, I am going to introduce what anthropology for you and the method you need to adopt for the examination. So in the case of anthropology, so we need to understand what anthropology is. So in this context, what is meant by anthropology we need to know. So anthropology is a word which has been derived from the Greek language. Anthropos means man, logy means study or science. So it is a study of man, or otherwise it is known as the science of humanity or the study of humanity. So being a human being, what are you actually? So being a human being, what are you actually? You have got mainly two aspects. So what are the two main aspects you have got being a human being? The two main aspects you have got are, for example, you are physically a being. You are physically a being having certain dimensions to your body. So when we are studying about your physical body, how you have formed in this nature. Have you been formed as it is all of a sudden in nature, or you are the resultant of evolution? You are the resultant of evolution. So physical anthropology studies about your physique, how it has been formed. It studies the evolutionary biology of human being since primates, from the stage of monkey to the human being. What are the different stages? What are the forces responsible for the adaptation of a human being to the existing environment? Apart from these physical aspects, we have got certain other aspects, not just being physical. You have got certain socio-cultural aspects. So what are you actually is? One is you are a physical being. So to study you physically what you are, one of the main branch of anthropology is physical anthropology. Physical anthropology. Physical anthropology is otherwise also known as biological anthropology. Physical anthropology is also known as biological anthropology. So it studies about your physique, how you have been formed, how you have been evolved. And it also studies, with the increasing in the research and development, the dimensions of the branches of anthropology have further increased their scope of understanding. In the modern era, even genetics is part of physical anthropology. Applied anthropology is also part of physical anthropology, like eugenics, forensic sciences, etc. are also part of physical anthropology. So the cell biology, the genetics, because it is the chromosomes and genes are responsible for the manifestation of your physical character. So when we are studying what you are physically, when we don't know what chromosomes and genes are, it is not complete about you. So with the increasing in the knowledge, with new discoveries and innovations, the scope of the subject has gradually increased. So that is how the physical anthropology studies about. The second main branch of anthropology is socio-cultural socio-cultural anthropology. So in this case of socio-cultural anthropology, one of the major branch of anthropology which studies about society and culture. It studies about society and culture. So in this context, we need to know what is meant by society and what is meant by culture. Then we will be able to know what actually anthropology studies. Society What do you mean by society? Society is a group of people living together with a certain relationships who are interdependent. What is society? Society is a group of people living together with a certain relationships who are interdependent. So the requirement of one person in the society requires to the other person. We are interdependent. For example, you as a student, me as a teacher are interdependent. You require my guidance. I as a teacher require my profession to survive. So in every society, this is how people are interlinked. So in this context, this society is made up of institutions. Society is made up of institutions. Institutions consist of people. Institutions consist of people. Each institution is occupied by people who have got the same aim. For example, this is an educational institution. Your aim and my aim is the same, is to make you achieve civil services. So whether it is a political organization, whether it is an educational institution or economic organization, the members of the institution have the same aim. Many of these institutions in the society together form the society. An individual as a member of an institution at the same time can be member of many number of institutions. For example, family is an institution. You are a member of a family. You are a member of an educational institution. You are part of even political institution also, because you elect your leader to vote, or you may contest for the elections. So an individual can be a member of many number of institutions simultaneously in the society. So each and every institution has got a function to fulfill the requirement in the society. Accordingly, different people are interdependent, serving different purposes, so that it gives a kind of protection, and which helps in increasing the survival rate in the society. The economic institutions provide the goods and services to you. The economic institutions produce the goods, transport the goods, distributes the goods, because of which you are able to consume. The economic organizations in the society work on the basis of rules and regulations of the society. So each and every institution, the political system, the political institution helps in electing the leader. The leader administers the society according to the rules and regulations of the society. So there is a coordination existing, peace, coordination, rules and regulations. There is egalitarian, it tries to distribute the resources in an egalitarian manner. The political administration tries to establish the rule of law. Family helps in socializing the children, taking care of the children. So these institutions having different functions, different institutions together form society. Each and every institution has got a specific function. So that is what society is, social aspects are. Next is the cultural aspects of society. Culture is the pattern of behavior of people in the society. On the basis of ethics, rules, norms, value systems of the society, where the ethics, norms, rules, value systems vary from society to society. So these aspects not only vary from society to society, these aspects even vary temporally in the same society. It means that in our own society, once upon a time, an act which is accepted is something illegal or not lawful at the current scenario. For example, Sati Sahagamanam, once upon a time, which is accepted by a society, but it is not legal, it is wrong, it is against law. So even the value systems, ethics, etc., even in the same society, with the change in time, temporal means comparing an aspect with the change in the time in the same society is known as temporal study. So these value systems not only vary, ethics, values not only vary from society to society, these ethics, value systems even vary within the same society with the change in time. So these social institutions follow the culture. We cannot separate society, social structure and culture. They are intertwined because society follows culture, which varies from society to society. So that is what mainly socio-cultural anthropology studies about. So as I have already mentioned about the physical anthropology, you will be able to understand while I am discussing the syllabus being given by UPSC, you will be able to understand better what am I speaking. So anthropology is considered to be holistic. Anthropology is considered to be holistic. So why anthropology is considered to be holistic? It is the only discipline which studies about humanity in a complete manner. That is the reason why it has been described as holistic. Because it studies you physically and it studies you socio-culturally. That is the reason why it is considered as holistic. It is also considered as holistic because it not only studies a single society. Anthropology is considered to be universal because it studies each and every society throughout the world. All the societies at all the stages. It studies about the primitive societies, it studies about the peasant societies, it studies about the civilized societies also. So primitive societies are societies where you might not be having a script, where their level of technology is low, more their economic activity is dependent upon primary sectors like agriculture, hunting and gathering, these cattle ranching, dairy development. These are considered to be based upon the level of technology and the sector on which they depend upon. The societies are being classified into primitive, peasant and civilized societies. In the civilized societies, you will have a society where you have got script, monuments, the level of technology is high, mechanization. So these, on the basis of these factors, societies are being divided into primitive, peasant and civilized societies. In the case of peasant societies, agriculture is the main dominant activity. In this case of kind of agriculture in peasant societies, the agriculture produce is not so high, or the area being cultivated by the farmer or a peasant is not in a huge large area. Will be cultivating about a couple of acres, which is self-sufficient for his survival rather than trade after producing surplus. The produce is just self-sufficient for the survival of the village or the hamlet. So there is a considerable difference between hunting and gathering societies and peasant societies. Stable agriculture is different from hunting and gathering. Both produces the resource essential for your survival. So that is one aspect, and the civilized society, as I have mentioned. So it is not only studying you physically, it is not only studying you socio-culturally, it is studying all the societies. All the societies, at all places, at all times. At all times means I have told you temporal. In the past, present, and in future, how you need to plan the society. Why it is called holistic? Because it is not only studying you physically, it is not only studying you socio-culturally, it is considered to be universal, studying all the societies, past, present, and planning for future. It is also considered as holistic because it is comparative. It is comparative because it compares different cultures and societies and finds the similarities and differences. It finds the similarities and differences so that it will be able to know the cause of the problem in the society, and it gives solutions. The main aim of anthropology is to give solutions to the problems of humanity. In this process of study, why we are doing this, what for a discipline is? What for a discipline is? A discipline is mainly for the purpose of solving the problems. Right? So anthropology gives solutions to all the human problems. You will be able to know how come anthropology can give solutions to all the problems, because its approach itself is holistic, right? It studies physically, socio-culturally, universal with comparative and temporal approach. That is the reason why it is considered as holistic. So, to an extent, you might have understood the meaning of the word anthropology and why it is considered as holistic. So, after understanding this, let us analyze the syllabus being given by UPSC and let us know the different dimensions of the syllabus. So, when you are able to understand the different dimensions of the syllabus, you will be able to tackle the syllabus very easily and appear for the examination, right? So, etymologically, anthropology means the science of human race. What is it? It is the science of human race. The science of human race. So, etymologically means knowing the reason or the history of the origin of the word, from which language, from which region, from which culture the word has been originated. That is what it means. Etymological meaning is. So, it has been derived from Greek words. It is derived from Greek words. What are these words? Anthropos. Anthropos means human beings. Logos means study or science. Studying about humanity. The science of humanity is known as anthropology. So this is what in which studies, just I have introduced to you. That is how it studies you physically and socio-culturally. So, in this case, we have got paper 1 and paper 2. In paper 1 and paper 2, the main fundamental difference between paper 1 and paper 2 is, in the case of paper 1, is anthropology in general. Anthropology in general. Whereas, in the case of paper 2, is completely focusing on Indian anthropology. It's completely focusing on Indian anthropology. That is the fundamental difference between paper 1 and paper 2. So, what are the different areas? What are the different areas where paper 1 deals with? And what is the different areas where paper 2 deals with? So, in the case of paper 1, in the case of paper 1, these are the different areas it deals with. So first, I am discussing the syllabus in the case of paper 1 and its nature. As I have told you, it deals with the different aspects of you, how it deals with. So in the case of paper 1, it studies about the introduction. This paper 1 is mainly concerned about introduction. It introduces about the subject, about its scope. As I have discussed with you, it deals with you about society and culture. It deals about you, how you have been formed, how you have been evolved. You have not been created as it is. You are the resultant of evolution. So that is how it studies in terms of scope and development and meaning of anthropology. Just now I have introduced you what anthropology is, and what anthropology is and its meaning and introduction. And in this case, in the part of introduction, it gives you relationships with other disciplines. Disciplines means different subjects. So, how anthropology is, for example, related with behavioral science or social science, for example. Social sciences, how anthropology is related. Anthropology is a very unique discipline where it has got mainly two branches, physical anthropology and socio-cultural anthropology. Physical anthropology is science. Socio-cultural anthropology is social studies. A very unique discipline with a great diversity and combination of science and social studies. Physical anthropology is science. Socio-cultural anthropology is social studies. Social studies. So, for example, it studies how anthropology is related to a social science known as sociology, for example. Sociology also studies about society. Anthropology also studies about society. Then how is anthropology different from sociology? Anthropology is holistic. Anthropology studies physical anthropology also. It also studies what you are physically, how you have been formed, how you have been evolved. It studies about your genetics, eugenics, forensic anthropology, applied anthropology, etc. Does sociology studies this? No, sociology doesn't study about the physical aspects of man. It studies only about social aspects. So, whether with this you are able to understand that the scope of anthropology is much more greater than sociology. Am I clear? Have you understood? So, this is how it goes on. For example, social science like history. History studies about past societies. Anthropology also studies about past societies. Then how is history different from anthropology? History studies societies only where there is a literary proofs. Means there must be a script proof about that society. But anthropology studies about society with the help of archaeological techniques, even pre-literate societies where there is no literature. History doesn't studies about pre-literate societies. Anthropology even studies about pre-literate societies with the techniques of archaeology. So the scope of anthropology is greater than history. That is how it is been linked. Are you able to understand me? So this is how the introductory part of you will be able to get a better knowledge when the subject is being divided into different dimensions. There are different dimensions to the subject. As a student, before preparing, when you know the scope and dimensions of the subject, what happens is the understanding and the depth of the subject gradually increases. For that sake, I have divided the whole syllabus being given by UPSC into different dimensions and sections so that you will be able to know the perception required to understand that particular chapters. So I have divided into these different constituent parts. 1.1 and 1.2 will be part of introduction to anthropology. Now you have understood the nature, right, by introducing this. That is how it links with the different disciplines. Next, 1.3, these are considered as branches of anthropology. These are considered as branches of anthropology. One is socio-cultural anthropology, which I have discussed with you, which consists of, which deals with about society and culture. Biological anthropology is also known as, what I have told you? Biological anthropology is also known as physical anthropology. So, archaeological anthropology studies about archaeology, means pre-literate societies with the help of the techniques of archaeology, is a branch of anthropology. Linguistic anthropology, it studies about the language, the role of language in establishing relationships in the society, how it varies, how the language structure varies. So the structure of the grammar of Telugu or Hindi is something different from the structure of the language of grammar of English. Is it the same? No, it varies. So how it varies? Language helps in establishing the degree of relationships. So how language is responsible for establishing relationships? Because anthropology studies about society. Society is nothing but people who are living together with certain relationships. Language is establishing the mode of relationships. So in this context, this is an area of the syllabus which you need to understand that in terms of these branch studies about the branches of anthropology. So one is introductory part of perception, second is branches of anthropology. Next, the third dimension is evolutionary dimension. The third dimension of anthropology is evolution. So what do you mean by evolution? Evolution is a gradual change from simple to complex over a period of time with a phenomena of adaptation, with the process of adaptation. Adaptation is acquisition of a new character or traits or organs. So in this process, you are being subjected to speciation. Subjected to speciation. Speciation means, species means group of organisms which are capable of interbreeding. So in this process of evolution, speciation happens, means from the similar simple organisms, different complex organisms belonging to different species originate. In this process of evolution, different forces play naturally, like natural selection. Natural selection means every organism has got a capacity to adapt to the changes happening in the environment. But at the same time, every change is not equally being selected by the nature. The better adapted character will be selected by nature. The other adapted characters which are not competitive enough to certain character will perish. So every species being created is not surviving. Only an organism which is able to better adapt is able to survive through the process of natural selection. So that is what evolution is. In this process of transformation from simple to complex, with adaptation, natural selection, another natural process known as reproductive isolation because of genetic drift and continental drift. Continent, you have got a single continent known as Pangaea initially. It has been divided and formed into Gondwana, Laurasia, Australia, Asia, Africa. In this process, animals living in the single continent has been divided to different continents, exposing to different environmental conditions and resources, have modified according to the environmental conditions and led to speciation and evolution. So this diversity of species, or the diversity of human beings into different races, into different regions, is because of not only the adaptive capability of the organism, it is also because of natural selection, genetic drift, geographical isolation, and many of these factors play a role together, where finally you have been formed. This is the area of study of evolutionary biology of human evolution. In this process, it not only studies about you, it also studies about your cousins. It studies about great apes, it studies about monkeys, it studies about pre-monkeys known as prosimians. Simians means monkeys. Pro means primitive, pre to monkeys like lemurs, tarsiers, etc. So from these unspecialized primitive organisms, gradually one after the another, there is increasing in the complexity, and you have formed from those monkey-like animals. This is what the area of evolutionary biology is. In this process, it studies about our ancestors, and it compares between these primates, different monkeys existing in the New World, Old World. New World means North America and South America is known as New World because it is newly been discovered. Old World consists of the rest of the world, like the Asia, Africa, Australia consists of Old World. Europe is Old World. So how these primates are distributed in different parts of the world, how they have been formed, how they have been evolved, what is the degree of relationship between prosimians, monkeys, apes, human beings, and not only about the existing living primates, we also study about fossil primates. Fossil primates means which have been extinct. With the help of the available fossils, with the archaeological technology, you will be able to compare the anatomical variations gradually happening with archaeological techniques, which establishes that you have been evolved from a monkey type of organism. Right? So don't worry about noting down the syllabus. I will share with you. Concentrate what am I teaching first. So a different dimension you are able to know this of the syllabus. What is it known as? Evolutionary biology is a dimension. Now you have come to know that. Branches of anthropology is a dimension. Introduction to the syllabus is a dimension in the syllabus. So when you know what are the chapters, what they are dealing about, you will have a firm grip over the subject. So next area is cell biology. Next area is cell biology. So in the case of cell biology, it studies about cells. It studies about cells. Why anthropology need to study about cells? Because what are you made up of? You are made up of cells. And in the genes and chromosomes are present in the nucleus of the cell, which are the characters. The characters are embedded in the chromosomes and genes, which are manifested in you. So without studying cell biology, we will not be able to know how the characters are being transferred from generation to generation. So in this way, what the cell is, what are the cell components, how cell forms, how cell divides. So when you are born, you are just around 3-4 kgs. How you have acquired this weight? Because of a kind of cell division known as differentiation. Means one form of cell converts into another form of cell. And not only differentiating, the cell replenishes. Because of these capacities, you have been created. You have been created. So this is how the cell biology goes on. So you are able to understand the different dimensions, right? Introduction, evolution. When you are able to know this, you will be able to understand better what it is. So the cell division, its formation, how an organism is formed from a single cell. Next is archaeological anthropology. So archaeology is the study of past societies. As I have mentioned as a branch, archaeology can study about past societies where there is no literary proofs. Based upon the artifacts available in the process of excavation with the techniques of archaeology, you will be able to reconstruct and know the past. Yes. So for example, by studying the artifacts, the kind of utensils being used, this is about the artifacts are made up of pottery. In a layer while you are excavating, sometimes the artifacts might be stone, sometimes the artifacts might be bronze, copper, iron. So, but all of them are not found in the same layer. When you are going deep, layer by layer, you are able to find artifacts of different technologies. Stone technology is different, pottery is different, bronze is different, copper is different, iron is different. So it gives you a chronology of arrangement of technology. Arrangement of technology. So this is what archaeological anthropology is. In this process of excavation, so a technique known as, it follows a technique known as stratigraphy. Strata means a layer. So because some of the civilizations, you have got different layers, right? So these layers are being formed because of the deposition of alluvium, means alluvial soil, by the rivers. Most of the human civilizations, whether it is Indus Valley civilization or Mesopotamian civilization or Egyptian civilization or the Mayan civilization, are on the banks of rivers. So in the river banks are subjected to the deposition of weathering and erosion and deposition. So in this process, what is happening? Because of a deposition, the layers are increasing. The deeper the layer, older the culture is. When the animals or human beings die, the utensils, fossils are present in the lower if they are older, because the deposition happens gradually. The new generation lives on the new layer, and again when they die, they will be deposited. So stratigraphy is a geological technique adapted by archaeology, also been borrowed by archaeological anthropology, to study your culture in a chronological sequence. So you are revealing about yourself. When you are revealing about yourself, it is what anthropology is. When you are revealing about yourself, that is what anthropology is. So stratigraphy techniques, you see this, they have excavated, this is in Turkey. In the process of excavation, they are able to find an auditorium which has been buried under the deposition with the help of stratigraphy techniques. So in this process, it studies Paleolithic. It studies Paleolithic societies, means societies where the technology level is at the level of Stone Age. They don't know how to make metals, so they used to use stone tools. Is Paleo Mesolithic. Mesolithic means is also about stone technology, but the refinement of stone tools is better than Paleolithic. Paleolithic stone tools are very crude. By the time they come to Neolithic, they have got a well-established polished stone tools. The refinement, the sharpness, the edges are better than Paleolithic in the case of when you relatively compare with Neolithic. That is how the Chalcolithic, Copper, Bronze Age, Iron Age, a gradual sequence of studies of societies with the proof of artifacts available in a chronological sequence by using techniques of geology and archaeology, techniques like stratigraphy techniques, radioactive carbon dating techniques, argon potassium dating. With these techniques, the pre-literate societies are being studied, and it is what it reveals about you, and this is what is known as archaeological anthropology. So now you have come to know what is meant by archaeological anthropology. Is a dimension of studying human society. Next is studying about culture and society. I have told you what culture and what society is. So the pattern of behavior, cultural practices followed by different societies. So this is a society existing in Africa. We have many other, we belong to a culture. The cultural pattern behavior varies from society to society. So in this process, culture has got mainly two dimensions: material culture and non-material culture. Material culture means which you can feel it. The clothes you are wearing, the food you are eating, the constructions, the furniture you use, the automobiles you use, constitutes of material culture. Is the material culture the same in all the societies? So, for example, take the case of Eskimos. The clothes you are wearing and the clothes Eskimos are wearing, is it one and the same? The food they are eating, the language they are speaking. No, language is not part of material culture. So the clothes is part of material culture, food is part of material culture, constructions are part of material culture, which vary from society to society. Non-material aspects consist of ethics, values, norms, are also part of culture. So material and non-material aspects together form culture, which vary from society to society. So this is a cultural practice following somewhere else, varying certain aspects. Do we have the same cultural pattern? But it is a culture. What you are wearing is also part of culture, which varies from society to society. So the social structure varies from society to society. We have got a different social structure in ancient India. This is a different kind of social structure. For example, in certain societies, for example, you have got a social structure where the kings and nobles are at the top, the priests, the scribes. So scribes are people who write when they are dictating. This is a time duration we are talking about where there is no printers and typewriters. People need to copy, write something else in the administration, in the kingdoms, from the original text for the purpose of administration, etc., or for the documentation, described as scribes. Craftsmen, pottery, etc., carpenters constitutes craftsmen. Peasants means small farmers and slaves. Is the social structure in a society? Do you have the same social structure? No, we have got a different social structure. Right now, we have got a social structure where we have got different levels in the society. In Indian society, the social structure is on the basis of caste, like the Brahmin, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Sudras. So when you relatively compare, the social structure varies from society to society. So this is studying about the structure of society and culture. So this is the cultural dimension, this is the social dimension. So socio-cultural anthropology studies about social institutions. I have explained you what is an institution. Institution consists of people who have got the same aim. The aim is the same. for the members of the same institution. So society is occupied by institutions like political, family, education, religion, economic institutions together constitutes society. Each institution has got a structure. For example, the structure of political system in our country, the president is at the top, the cabinet ministers at the central government. At the state government you have got the governor, the chief ministers. So the executive, you are going to be part of a permanent executive. The IAS, IPS officers are subordinate to the political executive. See the structure here, the president, the prime minister, the governor, the council of ministers at the state, and the permanent executive is an administrative structure you have got. Judicial structure is different, legislature structure is different, executive structure is different, structure of family is different, structure of economic organization is different. So these are different institutions. Marriage leads to the formation of family, has got a structure. So this helps in establishing the structure of society. Because of the variation of structure of institutions from society to society, there will be changes. So the political structure which I have given you as an example in India, will it have the same political system? The structure will be the same. In Saudi Arabia, will it be the same? No. So there is political structure, but the structure varies from society to society. It is the area where anthropology studies. Not only the contemporary, from the primitive. Did the existing political system formed as it is? No, it is been formed from kingdoms. Kingdoms are being formed from tribes. Tribes are being formed from bands. Initially, you used to move together with 20-30 people where you don't have a permanent resident, you are a nomad. Whoever is physically strong used to rule everything. There is no democracy there. But now you have a state with a democracy. There is a political system existing in the tribal society, in the kingdom and in the state. But in the kingdom, in a monarchy, the legislature, executive and judiciary are in the hands of king, the monarch. But now they are in different institutions. You are studying about change. You are studying about institutions. You are studying about the structure of the institutions, role of institutions and evolution of institutions. Anthropology studies not only the physical evolution. Anthropology studies about socio-cultural evolution. It studies the change in the structure of institutions from band to state. It also studies the evolution of culture from Stone Age to civilization. It studies the physical evolution from the primitive monkey stage to Homo sapiens sapiens. So anthropology is considered to be holistic. One of the reasons because it studies evolutionary process not only physically but also socio-culturally. That is the reason why anthropology is considered as holistic science. So this is how this constitutes social institutions, marriage, family, kinship. In comparatively how all these institutions work throughout the world is another dimension of anthropology. Got my point? Next chapter is about anthropological theories. Anthropological theories given by E.B. Tyler, Malinowski, etc. These are the thinkers who are responsible for Levi-Strauss, Ruth Benedict, Margaret Mead. These are all the different anthropological thinkers who have provided their theories about culture and society. So now you know what is meant by culture and society. These are the ideas being given by these thinkers. For example, a simple idea. Now you know what culture is. So there is a kind of thought process known as classical evolutionism. Classical evolutionism. So what it says, culture also evolves from simple to complex, gradually from stage to stage. They say that culture is unilinear. Unilinear means single line. So you have Stone Age, Lower Paleolithic, Middle and Upper Paleolithic, Mesolithic, Neolithic. After Neolithic, copper, bronze, iron. These unilinear sequence says that every society passes through this all the stages in a sequence. Right? Is it equally applicable to all the societies throughout the world? When there is no iron ore available, or when there is no copper ore available, can you have a copper bronze age there? No. So it is not necessary that each and every society has to pass through all the same stages in the same sequence of line. Because of some factors, they may not follow. So this comes under criticism by different thinkers. Some say that all the societies pass through the same stages of cultural evolution. Some accept this, some negate this, and with a proof. This is as simple as this. Are you able to understand me? This is how the anthropological thought goes on. So they discuss about the variation of culture, cultural evolution. They discuss about society and evolution of social structure. This is mainly the main aspect of anthropological theories. This is another dimension of the syllabus being given, of the same aspect being given by the different thinkers. And this is a very important chapter where you will be able to get definitely one question from this chapter in the examination. And it is very simple. You will be provided notes with explanation and clearing all the doubts. So he is an E.B. Tylor, Edward Bernard Tylor. Their views, that's the aspect here. Culture and language. So anthropology. So culture and language. So now you know what culture is. So the behavioral pattern, values, ethics, how they are being communicated to you? Through language. Through language, whether you are accepting it or negating it, language is the one which is communicating. So that is the reason why how culture and language is being linked. This is one of the basic aspect of a different dimension. Next is research methodology, a different dimension in anthropology. So how the subject of anthropology develops? You need to do certain research methodology. So some of you might have got research methods in your discipline, right? So in this research methodology, anthropology has got a very unique methodology. They have got fieldwork tradition. They adopt different techniques. One of the techniques they adopt in research methods is fieldwork techniques. You need to go into the field, move with the people, know what they are. So in this process, you will be able to know the cause of the problem. When you know the cause of the problem, you will be able to give solutions. What is the main aim of anthropology? To give solutions to the problems of humanity. When you go into the field, into the society, you will be able to know the cause. For this, different approaches are being adopted. Always participant approach might not be possible. So you need to adopt certain other questions like non-participant approach, questionnaire, etc. Certain statistical methods are being followed. Case studies means selecting a single tribe or a society and studying about that society is known as case study. Studying only Hyderabad has got its uniqueness, is a case study. Selecting a single tribe, selecting a single educational institution is an example of case study, because these are institutions of society impacting the society. So this constitutes methodology of a research methodology in anthropology. It not only studies the primitive societies, it also studies urban societies like Hyderabad also through participant approach. Is a different dimension of anthropology. Next dimension of anthropology is genetics. What do you mean by genetics? Yes, study of genes and chromosomes. Why we need to study about genetics where it studies about chromosomes and genes? Because a gene or a chromosome is made up of a molecule known as a DNA. DNA is made up of molecules known as nucleic acids. All these are known as nucleic acids, which are been described as purines and pyrimidines. These are nothing but molecules formed with carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen and oxygen. They form a molecule. These bond together to form a sequence of a chain known as DNA. It is the information of a character. The texture of your hair, the color of your skin, the stature, the intelligence, etc. Everything is been coded in DNA. That is been expressed as you. So because you are man or human being, you are the resultant of the expression of a gene embedded in you. Without knowing their nature, character, expression combination, will be not able to know what you are actually, because a combination, you are the combination of genes and chromosomes of your mother and father. So your characters vary with combination to combination. So that is the reason why, because whatever may be the character you have got, because it is the manifestation of chromosomes and genes, where genetic studies about genes and chromosomes, that is the reason why it gives you a kind of idea where how you are being manifested, why characters are being transmitted, how they are inherited from generation to generations. What are the advantageous characters? What are the disadvantageous characters? With this, you need to counsel. So, anthropology has got a different dimension where, after not only knowing this, they counsel people. There are certain genetic diseases which can be tackled with medication. There are certain diseases which cannot be tackled. So, which can not be tackled, a person may be disappointed because he may not have children because of some genetical problems. So he goes psychologically depressed. Anthropology goes there where, apart from giving medical sessions, he will be counseled psychologically so that he will be able to live happily. So, like biology, it is not just concerned with biological aspects. Anthropology not only concerned with biological aspects, it is also concerned with the psychological aspects as a member of society to live happily without any problems by giving a better counseling. So if the next generation, the children born to the individual, suffer with the diseases, if there is possibility being treated with medicine, then they will go counsel to go for children and give a right decision how they need to be treated to overcome the diseases, to have the children, or if they cannot be treated, they will be counseled not to have children. If they can be treated, they will be guided in a right way for the treatment of the children. So this anthropological perception of genetics, is it not keeping society happy? Avoiding certain genetical diseases and treating certain genetical diseases in a unique manner. How the inheritance of characters are happening. So the Mendelian genetics, this is the basic idea involved in genetics. So it studies about different chromosomes, example, trisomy. So you need to have only 2 chromosomes, but you have got 3 chromosomes. This phenomenon of manifestation of additional chromosome is known as trisomy, means tri. So it leads to certain diseases. So diseases like Patau's syndrome or Edwards syndrome or Down syndrome or trisomy 21 leads to certain kind of abnormal characters. See this. So through this arrangement of chromosomes in a certain condition, freezing in a condition is known as karyotyping. What is it known as? Karyotyping. So to know the genetic defect, karyotyping need to be done. Freezing the chromosomes in a stage of subdivision, identifying there is something abnormality. Identifying the abnormality happens through a kind of procedure known as karyotyping. Then after identifying the kind of abnormality, whether it can be rectified or cannot be rectified, based on the conditions, counseling is being done. So this is the anthropological perception of genetics. See this, they have identified there is a problem with this chromosome, there is a trisomy here. Sometimes there may be deletion of chromosome, or sometimes there might be addition of chromosome. Either of these creates problems, which can be done with the help of genetics. Accordingly, counseling is being done. So the Edwards syndromes, trisomy, the problems, etc. Next area of study of anthropology is race and racism. So race and racism are completely different. Racism is because of race. Race is the classification of human beings on the basis of certain variations of physical characteristic features. Negroes, Caucasoid, Australoid, Mongoloid. So the features, the texture of the hair, some have got very curly hair, some have got very smooth hair, some have got very fair skin, some have got very dark skin. So on the basis of which human beings are being classified into races. So what are the characters which have led to classify the human beings into different races? Is part of races where they are being distributed. Constitutes race. Racism is a social problem. Racism is a social problem based upon certain physical traits. A certain population considers that they are superior to some other race. This phenomenon of feeling superior and considering some other inferior, treating them in a low grade condition, is known as racism. Racism is not accepted in the society. This is because of the ignorance. No race is superior or no race is inferior to anybody. If at all an individual is feeling so, it is because of ignorance. It has been proved that equally each and every race is capable of achieving anything when the conditions provided in terms of resources and conditions are the same. Every race is equally able to achieve anything else required. So that is how race and racism happens. Next is applied anthropology. Next part of the chapters constitutes applied anthropology. So you have learned the subject of anthropology. What for? To apply in the society to solve your problems. To apply these knowledge in the society to solve your problems. So I will be giving some examples to know how applied anthropology goes on. For example, in the case of this applied anthropology, take this, the NGOs working in the society. In a society where a society must be egalitarian, the more diversity is existing in terms of development, economic level, and in terms of their nutrition level, we cannot call a society developed. So to overcome this, with the minimum available resources, the lower strata of the society in terms of economic strata or society who have got a very low quality of nutrition, they need to be developed because they suffer with different diseases. So the NGOs with anthropological perception, what they do is they live with the society. They will be able to frame a kind of nutrition which is highly nutritious with low cost of production and will be supplied to the lower social strata, social economic strata, so that to the pregnant women and children they will be supplying some nutritive materials where the nutritive deficiency diseases can be avoided. So better development happens. So is development, is it not required for the society? Is it not decreasing the diversities with an anthropological perception? So for example, a community or a section of population might be vegetarians. To be nutritious, if a doctor suggests a non-vegetarian food to be healthy and nutritious, culturally he is not supposed to have it. So the suggestion being given by the doctor doesn't work, but an anthropologist, a cultural anthropologist will be able to give a suggestion which is culturally, a food material, a nutritive material which is culturally equally accepted. A leafy vegetable gives you iron, dal gives you protein equivalent to a non-vegetarian. So depending upon the culture of the societies, whom need to be suggested what kind of food which is culturally accepted will solve the problem. This is an anthropological perception application to solve the problems. It is part of, for example, a branch of anthropology known as ergonomics. So ergonomics studies about your physical dimensions, and for your physical, for example, your physical dimensions are different, my physical dimensions are different, but we are sitting in the same dimension of chair, which is not either suitable to you or suitable to me exactly. But for the sake of economy, the producers of the company select the average dimensions of the individual, and to maximize their economy, they produce a dimension of a chair which is more accepted by all the dimensions of physical dimensions of an individual, so that it is economical for him, so that he will be successful. Ergonomics also shows you a correct proportion of the gaskets which you are using. For example, here in the case of the chair, the dimensions or the posture in which you need to set so that your work efficiency increases is an applied anthropology. This is an applied anthropology. Ergonomics is an applied anthropology. Forensic science is an applied anthropology. So, with the evidence of fingerprints, with the evidence of material, biological and non-biological evidences, some artifacts, knives, fingerprints, semen, blood, hair follicles, dead cells are being selected from the scene of offense and analyzed to identify the cause of the crime. So with the anthropological knowledge, you are able to investigate the cause of the crime by using both biological and non-biological remnant proofs available at the site. Is an example of applied. So growth and development. So how growth happens? What is the problem with aging and senescence? So what happens with the increasing in the age? The problems increases. So what are the reasons? Is it because of the aging factor or a cultural factor or your habits? So how to avoid these kind of problems? By studying cultural and society. These are all some dimensions I have given you as far as applied anthropology is considered. While I am teaching the session, I will be dealing all the dimensions and make you explain with material. Is a dimension known as applied anthropology. These are all 9.6 to 12 to forensic science. All these are growth, senescence, development, aging, all comes under applied anthropology in the syllabus. Next, paper 2. Paper 2 consists of, this is anthropology in general, paper 1. Paper 2 is very simple. Paper 2 will not be a burden to you at all. Where every one of you knows what it contains. It's a dimension of paper 2 is Indian society. A dimension of paper 2 is tribal India. It studies about tribal societies. So, Indian society, as you know, it has got a caste system, different religions, Hinduism or Islam or Christianity, and other religions like Sikh, etc. How this society has been divided into their population, culture, etc. Apart from primitive societies to peasant societies, agrarian societies, to an extent even modern societies too, is part of Indian society. It studies about tribal societies. What are the different tribes existing in different parts of our country? Who are they? How their society exists? Their social structure and culture, etc. will be part of paper 2.